thoughts on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, good, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked and sat down beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I want to say. Girl, you made my day. Back on nowhere to go, crank up the radio. You're talking all night long, I'm writing you a song. You got the pedal down, can't help but laugh out loud. Two kids ain't going nowhere, it's fast without a care. You made my day when you walked and sat down beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I want to say.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 28th day of March 2023. Thank you once again to Cody Hall for providing our waiting room music, I guess, with Made My Day, a staple here at 1420 World Headquarters. Thank you for making us a part of your day each and every, I shouldn't say each and every day, but most days of the week we get going here. A little later start this morning. I had to wait for some news to come across or not come across before we started talking about this, as always, controversial subject that's coming up no matter what with Hockey Canada and throughout the hockey world. Seems to happen a lot. Yesterday, I went for a pre-show beer over at Brown Social House. A cheap shout out there to Brown Social House over on the west side here in Lethbridge, Alberta. And Rick Westhead came on the television. And every time Rick Westhead comes on, you're thinking, oh, God, now what? What did some meathead hockey player do now? Or what did some meathead hockey organization do now? Or whatever it may be. But all it basically was saying, not all it was saying, I don't want to downplay the whole situation, but Rick Westhead was reporting that Hockey Canada made the decision yesterday that all the members of the 2018 World Junior team were ineligible to play in any Hockey Canada events for the foreseeable future. Not a very good look for Hockey Canada. As everybody knows, there was a situation that happened in London, Ontario. I think it was in 2018 or 19, a celebration of that team that won the World Junior Gold. 8 players are basically implicated in this situation where there was a sexual assault involving one girl, 8 players, and on it goes. I'm not downplaying this or anything, but it seems like it kind of just went away, quote unquote, that it's just maybe Hockey Canada, nothing was going on. They made some changes with the board. They made some changes with their leadership group and everything else, but it kind of went away. And then the NHL was supposed to also have an investigation, and that one kind of went away too. And nothing has really happened at all with this whole thing. It's kind of the girl has been, her name is out there and everything else. It's kind of gone on. There was some money that went to the girl and everything, but we won't get into all that stuff because that's been beaten to death. But the whole thing that's kind of been odd to me is that how Hockey Canada hasn't got anything going on. And yesterday in Parliament, Kevin Waugh, I think his name is, MP in Canada here, he basically said, hey, there's a report out there. You're handing it in tomorrow. There's a report that was done by a Toronto, Ontario law firm that's been sitting on the shelves, and hockey or the Canadian government has this committee that said, hey, go and get this report, get it now, turn it in. And that's why I'm a little bit late today, because didn't get turned in. But what's going to happen is that Hockey Canada, there's going to be a third party that's going to look at this report and make sure that players who aren't implemented in this situation and aren't in the report, that their names kind of get cleared, that they aren't going to be named and everything else. There has been a number of players throughout the 22-man roster, whatever it was, on that team that have come out through their agents or through themselves, and they have made statements saying, hey man, I wasn't any part of this. I did not do this. I wasn't even in London, Ontario for this event. I was not at the golf course. I was not. There's a number of players who came out and said this. If you went through this, I probably could have done it, but if you go through it, there are some players who haven't said a word about it, and you could probably go through it and go just by deductive reasoning that this guy was part of it, and this guy was part of it, and this guy was part of it. So it's kind of strange that this thing has just kind of got a back burner, and nobody said anything as to who the players are and what could happen. It's strange to me that the NHL has not gotten ahead of this whole thing, because there is such a thing as bad publicity. There used to be a thing called there's no such thing as bad press. When it comes to sexual assault and sexual abuse and everything else, there is bad press. There's nothing you can say that will convince me differently. And I don't think there's a person on God's green earth, like white earth here in Canada today, the snow we got last couple of days, but there's no one that will say that sexual assault is a tolerable offense. So it's strange that Hockey Canada, the National Hockey League, and the London Police Force, actually, they really haven't done a whole bunch, because there's only 20 some guys that you need to talk to and interview. It could be a pretty easy thing to do. And that, like I said, you get down to 22 guys or whatever it was. And then there were players like Cale Makar who said he was not part of the situation, and on and on and on, and just process of elimination, where you'd be able to figure out who these 8 guys are who might have been involved in this situation. To what degree, who knows? None of my business at this moment, obviously, but you wonder why that Hockey Canada has let this thing drag on for so long. And then how come that they made a decision yesterday to say, okay, maybe for what we're going to do, I think I have a couple reasons why they may have done this yesterday, that why they said, okay, any players who are playing for that team, 2018 World Junior team, you're not allowed to play for any World Championship teams. You're not allowed to don the maple leaf for a certain period of time till this investigation is over and done with. This thing should have been taken care of a long time ago. As soon as that payment was made out, did they try to sweep it under the rug? Probably. In fact, I guarantee that's what they tried to do. But basically what you got here is Team Canada saying, okay, we're going to silence the critics a little bit. We don't need some kid, or they're not kids anymore. They weren't really even kids back then. You got some player who might don the jersey next month at the World Championships that will get implicated in this thing. It'll be a really bad look for Hockey Canada and for the National Hockey League and for the Players Association, and on and on and on, to be involved in this whole thing, and then say that their name is on this document that said that guy is one of the guilty ones. Well, not guilty, but one of the ones that might be going to court for this situation and might be getting his fingerprints done for this situation. And you wonder why it's taken this long, because these guys could have played in certain situations. They could have been playing for teams that might be making the playoffs. You think the hockey world would probably want to get this thing looked after a little bit, to say, okay, this guy has been playing for our team for this long. COVID kind of gave them a little bit of a reprieve. They could kind of hide a little bit. It's been 2 years since this thing first came out, and for this thing to be swept under the rug for so long, and just maybe hoping it would go away. Well, it hasn't, because you had this MP. He was stating yesterday, why is this taking so long? Is Hockey Canada hiding something? We have a trust issue with Hockey Canada, and on it goes. So you wonder why Hockey Canada wouldn't try to get this thing, get ahead of the game, look like the good guy in the situation. The new leadership group, the new board of directors, or whatever you want to call them, why they wouldn't have made this their first order of business and say, okay, here's what we got. If there is some document that's sitting on a shelf in a Toronto law firm, why wasn't this made not public, but why wasn't this taken care of quite some time ago? It's a mystery to me that hockey wouldn't want to get this thing done, because it was the biggest scandal, and multiple different stories going around about what happened and why the payments were made and everything else. You would think that the new leadership group would say, okay, here's what we got. We're taking care of this. It's not happening under our watch anymore. Part 2 of this thing, you think that maybe Hockey Canada wants the players to come out and say, okay, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. And they're maybe strong arming these guys to say, I'm not part of this. I'm not implicated in this. I don't want any part of it. And maybe say something that, okay, or maybe get the agents together, because agents have a lot of power in this situation. Is it a situation now that you have Hockey Canada and these players getting strong armed by Hockey Canada saying, can you guys say something, please? Because there's this old Julia Roberts line from back Flatliners, I think it was, Flatliners with Kiefer Sutherland. Withholding the truth is the same as lying. And there's been a lot of truth being withheld from the situation. And you would think that hopefully some players will actually come out in front of this and step forward and say, listen, it wasn't me. I 100% hear it, and come in front of the camera and say it. Don't hide behind your agent. Come out and say it wasn't me. If you guys can go out and make millions of dollars and be tough guys on the ice, do it off the ice and say, okay, I didn't do this. I didn't do this, and let the court of public opinion take care of it and say, well, it must have been that guy. It must have been that guy. Because once the chips start falling, you're going to see a lot of more chips fall, and it'll get to the bottom of it. And the people who are responsible for keeping this hush hush and for trying to keep this silent and for trying to keep this swept under the rug for as long as they have, they will be forced to come out and say something as well. And I think that's the only way that this is going to take care of this whole situation and make sure that this doesn't happen again. Like, you look at the situation that happened with the Moose Jaw Warriors. They had I think 3 or 4 players. I shouldn't. Yeah, it was 3 guys, I believe. It doesn't much matter, but they were suspended for most of the second half of the season. Then they got suspended for the playoffs that they're upcoming. Coaches were suspended. I think the team got fined $25,000 for a situation that the Edmonton Police Force said wasn't a criminal investigation anymore, but they still got fined the 25 grand. These players lost a year of their eligibility, and who knows what happened with the girl and everything else that's going on, because this happens in hockey far too often. And I shouldn't just say hockey, it happens throughout the world far too often. It happened in the entertainment world. It happens all over the world where these sexual assaults are taking place, and it's kind of they get left behind, and they try to get swept under the rug a lot. And so something must have obviously happened that wasn't right for these Moose Jaw Warrior players and these Moose Jaw Warriors coaches to be suspended as long as they could. 25 grand for these junior hockey teams is nothing to sneeze at. So something went sideways. Everybody knows who these players were because they haven't played all season long. So that's something that was a good thing, that WHL has their code of conduct rules and said, no, you're not playing. Maybe it's time for the National Hockey League to adopt this thing, because everybody from Hockey Canada knows who's involved in this situation. Everybody knows what players were involved in it. I don't think it would be too hard to get down to the nitty-gritty of this thing. There's 20 guys on that team, or 22 guys on this team. And like I said earlier, you can whittle it down pretty quick about who was involved in this situation, because there's already been 3 or 4 players that I wasn't, right? And so now you have players like Carter Hart, who might have been going to a Team Canada thing because the Flyers are well out of the playoffs. He might have been going to play for Team Canada at the World Championships, but now he's like, well, I can't go. I can't go now. And it's the right move by Hockey Canada to maybe get these guys to talk a little bit, to say something, and to get things going and get this thing over with. Yes, the girl will be scarred for life and everything else, but she'll be able to put this behind her and get it taken care of, and everybody can start moving forward, because that's the only way you can do this, to try to get rid of this stigma, is to try to move forward. It's an insane situation that happens throughout the hockey world, throughout the entertainment world, throughout all facets of life, and it's crazy that is still happening to this day. And the one that happened with the Moose Jaw Warriors, with that girl in Edmonton, it's crazy that this happens and everything else. And it's just you wonder when it's going to stop. And the Canadian government getting ahead of the situation yesterday, saying, hey, that's enough. Let's get this talked about. Let's get this over with, because we really, really need to start moving forward with this and figure out what the hell the problem is, and get to the bottom and the root of this situation that you do have with the entire hockey world and the like, because it just seems to be happening far too often. And you hear about this thing. It's time for the law enforcement, the London police, why they don't have this thing taken care of, why the Hockey Canada doesn't have this thing taken care of, and why it had to get to a situation yesterday where this Kevin Waugh, this MP, he looks like the bad guy in some people's eyes. Why it took him yesterday to reopen this situation and say, hey, let's get this taken care of and let's do something about this, because it's very important for people to get ahead of this situation and say, okay, this is it. This is what we're doing. And it's got to get taken care of, because if it was, I would guarantee it to a man, if it was their daughter or their sister or their wife this happened to, they'd want people to get to the bottom of this situation, and heads would roll. So why it isn't happening on the hockey world, which has a bad stigma throughout Canada, and it's probably other sports in the United States as well, why this hasn't been taken care of and put behind us so we can start looking forward. Why it took an MP yesterday to say something. If there's something sitting on a shelf somewhere in Toronto that just went, let's not talk about it, it's a touchy subject, we need to protect our players. No, you don't. You need to protect girls around the world, and it's crazy that this hasn't been taken care of. Anyways, there's my rant for the day. Anyways, make sure you guys follow us on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and everything else. Let's see, what do we got today? On this day in 1975, the Washington Capitals win their first road game of the season after 37 straight losses on the road with a 5-3 win over the California Golden Seals. The Capitals finished their inaugural season in the National Hockey League with a record of 8 wins, 67 losses, and 5 ties. Good for 21 points in their first season in the National Hockey League. This is the only clip that I could find of the Washington Capitals from the 1975 season. Guy Lafleur probably got 3 or 4 goals this night with the Montreal Canadiens against the Washington Capitals that night. That'd be maybe a rough season, 8 wins in a year and only 1 road win all season long. That'd be a tough go over. There's no getting around that. I can't imagine going through a season like that, but it's actually happened to me before. But whatever, we won't talk about that a whole bunch. And happy birthday to who do we got today? Keith Tkachuk, born on this day in 1972 in Melrose, Massachusetts. Tkachuk played for 18 National Hockey League seasons with stops in Winnipeg, Phoenix, St. Louis, and Atlanta, where he amassed 538 goals, 527 assists for 1,035 points, 2,219 penalty minutes, was taken 19th overall in the 1990 NHL entry draft. 1 pick ahead of some goaltender by the name of Martin Brodeur. You wonder if they would have changed those picks all these years later, although they had a really good goaltender in Winnipeg back then who moved on to Phoenix in Nikolai Habibulin, the Bulin Wall. If you guys recall him, he was a hell of a hockey player, a hell of a goaltender. But happy birthday to the father of Matthew Tkachuk, who I'm not a big fan of. But I'm a big fan of Brady Tkachuk, who they battled out last night. No, thank you very much for listening to the show today, for following us wherever you guys get your podcast. Make sure you tune into our show later on today that we put out, that me and Dave recorded last night. I'm on a baseball show for the Belly Up Network. Thank you to Belly Up for having me, doing a baseball show tonight, and everything else. We got who we got tomorrow night. We got Level the Playing Field, Dave and Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports. We're going to talk a little bit of American League East tomorrow night, so that'll be a lot of fun to catch up with those guys. Always a fun conversation with those guys to have that. Remember to support our sponsors. Today's hockey, I don't know if I said at the beginning of the show, I got to try to get into these things, but Barn Burner Hockey and barnburnerhockey.ca. Use promo code 1420BARN for 10% off their all-natural hockey products and apparel at barnburnerhockey.ca. We'll get that one in there. Hockey Canada, do the right thing. Get this taken care of. And everybody, do remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel like the little guy says right there. And remember, as always, it doesn't matter where you are. It is who you're with. Have yourself a good day, folks. We will talk to you tomorrow. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports, talking a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.